No,
Everybody
don't
could
say
see
anything
me,
more.
it would
Don't
be
say
a
anything
giant
more.
middle finger.
I'm setting the stage for the story. Get right into it. I have a question.
Kind of cutting it.
Yeah, I have a question. Actually, you speak. Whoa, Jesus. Jesus.
Your GoPro down.
It's all good. It's all good. No. Speaking to the microphone for a second. Let me just see your sound.
Test.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. You don't get to look at the notebook.
No notebook for me.
This is going to be the preview podcast for the ALLiN podcast. So we're going to explain it a little bit, talk about a few cool topics of discussion, which we kind of planned today driving around to the gym.
So we're going to make people believe that we actually have a plan?
Yes.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
People will believe it.
They will definitely believe it.
I'm a serious person.
They typically believe that we have a plan. I think a lot of people would be shocked how rarely we have a plan.
Yeah, especially you.
Especially me.
I
think people think
king.
that I'm seriously super calculated.
Yeah.
And it's I am to an extent. I have a vision, but then I wake up and I'm I think we should do this, and we just do it.
Yeah. I think that it works best that way when you just kind of go with it and you don't overthink it as much.
It works because we have the team to execute.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people don't have the resources that we have to execute, and for a long time it was probably much harder for me to do the things that I do now. But now I can wake up and be yeah, let's do this. And we scramble the resources and we make it happen.
Well, that's way too serious for the start of the podcast. I have a little bit more of a jokey / serious question.
I'm a pretty serious person.
I want you to be serious with this first answer, okay?
Okay. I'll try.
Do you consider yourself a good person, Jason Phillips?
Yes, I consider myself a good person.
Okay. Does a good person make probably around a 70-year-old man? What do you guys call it out here? Giving the bird?
Bird. Are you referencing a middle finger?
Yes.
Yes, we call it flipping the bird.
Flipping the bird. Does a good person make a 70-year-old flip the bird at another person in a public airport?
If he blocks you in to where you cannot get out, yes, he does.
Okay, so we got back from California yesterday morning.
Yeah, we landed at 7 a.m., 30 minutes early, actually.
After the red eye. Jason's second home is the red eye, mine is not. I'm not a fan of the red eye. But we basically get in the car, finally. Paige is there, warm car, and we're trying to pull out.
You need to reset that because you also need to inform everybody they fucked up my Starbucks drink.
They did.
Yeah.
That's good context.
That needs to be in there as well. Okay.
I'm making you out to be a bad person. So we're getting in the car, and this dude just comes up and pulls into the second lane. Everyone knows how kind of airport departure arrival thing works. It's always busy. We're trying to pull out. He gets in front of our car, and Jason scrolls down the window and is like, "Hey, dude, move your car. You just parked right in front of us. We're trying to get out after waiting so long to get out." At this point, I'm in the back seat, and I'm looking at this guy, and he kind of reacts like, "Oh, sorry, sir. Yeah, I will do." But then, in the space of a second, he goes 0 to 100 from being apologetic to screws his face up and pulls the middle finger at Jason, to which we cannot stop laughing about it.
And so everybody that could not see this, because we are video recording this as well, but everybody that just got the audio version of that, it was literally... I wasn't even mean when I asked him to move. It was relatively polite given how tired and how angry I was about Starbucks. And I said, "Hey man, you need to move your car. We're trying to get out." And it wasn't that was probably it. That was probably the tone. It really wasn't malicious. And he hadn't even gotten out of his vehicle yet. He literally opened up his door.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do as quick as possible so he wouldn't have to get out, open up his doors, because that's a pain in the ass. I don't want to inconvenience anybody like that. So he literally gets out of the car, and to acknowledge what I'm doing, goes around, opens up his trunk, then decides, okay, I'm not going to be as much of a jackass.
Yeah.
Goes back to his driver's side door, and before he gets in, the whole he must have had the single biggest scowl on his face that I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, I'm not sure I would ever want to piss this guy off again. It was so mean, and out of nowhere, here comes the middle finger. And it wasn't just a middle finger at you. It was a middle finger up and down in the air. For the video, it was like this. But for those of you that are audio, it was It was literally a middle finger up and down, like a good 3 or 4 inch movement.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
It's hard to describe why it's so funny, but if you were there, you would totally get why it's hilarious.
Either we were deliriously tired and everybody thinks we're fucking stupid right now, or they're laughing with us, and I'm okay with either one. But and then it's like, what do you do when that happens? We just laughed.
Yeah,
like nobody got mad. I wasn't like.
I think you said good one.
I think I said to him, I was like, that was cool. Like, I think that was my response. And what do you do? Like you got a fucking 7-year-old man. Like, I'm not gonna get in a pissing match with this dude. Like, he was in a bad mood. I don't know. Like, maybe he wasn't happy to be picking up his wife or something.
You are a terrible human being.
Apparently now I'm an asshole in the whole world, because based on the first ever podcast we released, the whole reason that we're telling people to go all in is go all in on being an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, I just wanted to start it with a little bit of comedy, and also to make people believe that you are a normal human being and that you can laugh about normal things, because that was one of the things that we were talking about in the trip in California. Jason, you spoke twice that weekend. You spoke on the Thursday and the Friday. And after the talk on the Thursday, we were in the elevator on the Friday morning on the way down, and you could tell this guy was this lady was super anxious around Jason. Like, I started talking to her, and then she proceeded, once she kind of like realized that, we were good dudes, to say, hey, I really enjoyed your talk yesterday. But I think because Jason was so fired up on stage that she had this impression that he was a super intense human being, and then kind of realized he wasn't, and then was normal around him. So
yeah, I'm excited for you to bring out the side of me that and that like our close friends know, because I think that just relative to the nature of the content that we always have to put out, I do come across very serious. And because I've been very fortunate to be on certain stages, like, at those events, sometimes you seem unapproachable. And like I thought that was really cool. Like, I thought it was really funny, because until I said something, she didn't want to say anything, and she almost looked like, I'm not gonna look at this guy. I'm not gonna say anything. But it was And actually, as we're talking right now, Chastity just liked my comment of flipping you off at your handstand video this morning. So apparently middle fingers are the new thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, I think it'll be cool for people to get to know us a little bit more as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we've recorded one episode before, but I'm not sure whether that one will make it. Introducing the podcast, we yet to decide.
The one that we recorded down here.
Yeah,
I think it will. Yeah? I think it was pretty good.
So, but this is going to be the preview episode. People are probably going to be watching this on YouTube right now before we start releasing all our podcast episodes in the future on our proper kind of podcast account. It'll be through iTunes, Spotify, and then we'll keep you guys updated
wherever Lewis puts it.
Exactly. Yeah. We've got a guy, good dude, Lewis, helping us out
really
with
good
the
kid.
whole podcast thing. So,
really good kid.
Let's start today with, we were obviously at the Fitness Business Summit this weekend.
Yeah.
We were on a trip to California basically from Tuesday. We flew out, and then we came back Sunday morning. Do you want to kind of like update us all with what we were doing and kind of how the trip went?
Yeah, so it was a long trip.
Yeah.
And I'm still absolutely, like, for those of you guys watching, you're probably like, he looks like he's dead. Like, it's okay. I might be close to dead. Most of you guys know we just had our newborn. She'll be 4 weeks old Wednesday. We're recording on a Monday right now. And so, that comes with its territory of not a lot of sleep. Mm-hmm. And so we flew out Tuesday. Teddy got to experience his first ever first-class treatment on an airplane.
It was awesome.
It just so happened we had a connection. The second flight was like a 777 and had like a bed in first class. So
lying down
he
beds.
Like really lucked out. It wasn't just like some shit first-class seat. It was like the real deal.
Watched a great movie too.
Yeah, you enjoyed that. Yep. So. And then, so we got in Tuesday night. We had an hour drive to Orange County. We stayed there. And that was kind of like your first taste of Orange County, I think. And you really got to like, we did like some filming in Laguna, and you got to see like the Montage and Monarch Beach and like a lot of areas that are special to me and my family, because we did vacations there last summer. And so it was really cool for me to be there. And so everyone's like, well, you spoke in San Diego. Why not fly to San Diego? Mm-hmm. The reason that we stopped in Orange County was we actually house shopped on Wednesday. So this is probably the first public announcement that anybody's hearing that we are relocating the family this summer. At least that is the plan as of today. I don't want to be like, yep, it's definitely happening. Everyone's like, that asshole, he changed his mind. Like, like you always like reserve the right to change your mind. But 99% we're going. I think that for our kids to grow up in a place where there's a lot of outdoor activities and a great culture, good schools, like all the schools are rated 9 and 10 where we're looking. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. We just had a baby. For them to have the opportunity to just go to the beach and have like just everything, man.
It's incredible.
What
a place.
I live my life to give to them, like through and through. I think everybody knows that. Like everything I do is for my family, and so it's just exciting, man. I think I grew up like I always wanted to be there, and it's now's the right opportunity for a host of reasons, but now is the right opportunity. And we're also looking at opening up an HQ there. So ALLiN³ could be headquartered in Laguna Beach as well as NCI. So, that would be a pretty cool place for people to come out, come to our education center, take some courses in person in Laguna. That would be amazing. Yeah. So, really excited about that. We drove down to San Diego Wednesday night.
We did, yeah.
What did we do Wednesday? We got a workout in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a workout in. And
great gym.
It was a great gym. We'll just we'll leave it at that. Yeah, we won't explain too much about why it was such a great gym, but it was a good gym.
It was actually an awesome gym. It
had probably every piece of equipment that I've probably never even seen half of it. To be fair, the only thing it didn't have was a platform.
Yeah,
but it was a global gym. It had literally like techno gym. It had hammer strength. It had life fitness. It had every brand you can possibly think of. It had, and it was pretty cool. Great, super clean, great vibe, overlooking Petco Park, so that you could actually literally watch the baseball games from there.
So cool.
And then Thursday was go time, man. Yeah. We did the sound check Thursday morning for Fit Body World Conference, and I got my first exposure to what it looks like to be on stage in front of 200 people, and I was scared shitless.
We made a little video.
Yeah, we did. So people will see that, but that was difficult because then the next 5 hours I spent like, oh my god, this is going to be terrifying. And I was blessed to be invited to speak at the Fit Body Bootcamp World Conference. So for those of you guys that don't know, Bedros Keuilian owns the franchise Fit Body Bootcamp, and they've got, I believe, 600 or 700 locations worldwide, and they're awesome, man. Like the franchise owners are great people, just amazing interaction with everybody there. Like, it was such a good vibe.
Yeah.
And so they invited me to speak on nutritional implementation in their facilities. And so I think I brought some fresh ideas, completely counter what most of them are doing now.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of buy-in to what we were doing. I think a lot of people really wanted to learn more. So that was exciting. Great reception. Came off stage. A lot of people had amazing things to say. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And while it was terrifying to be in front of 200 people, I was then told that the next day there was going to be 1,200 people, which was even more terrifying.
They basically took down the sides of the...
Yeah, they knocked down the side walls.
Yeah, the side walls of the room we were in, and it was just a huge kind of like...
Yeah, it was definitely a big stage. So Friday, I was gifted and humbled and given the opportunity to speak at Fitness Business Summit. And so for anyone that doesn't know, Fitness Business Summit is like the premier event of the year.
Yeah.
In reference to business building for fitness entrepreneurs. You've got gym owners, you've got nutrition coaches, you've got trainers, you've got online business people, whatever it might be. They're all out there.
Yeah.
And it's a great place to network. And so I went to my first FBS 8 years ago.
That's crazy.
And it was a much smaller event. It was at a Westin in Costa Mesa, and it was amazing to me to see how much it had grown. But it was, I remember sitting in that audience, and I talked about this in my speech. I sat there and I wanted so badly to be a part of everything that was going on, but I left it there. Like I left it at a want. I didn't really take action, and I've always, I don't regret it. I don't regret anything, but I always look back on it as not the best quality within myself. Like I was lazy. I didn't, I expected things to come to me instead of working for them. And so, I sent Bedros a text last year in January. And it's when success for us was really kind of hitting, and I said, "Dude, one day I'm gonna speak at Fitness Business Summit." And sure enough, 4 or 5 months ago, I got the email, and they were like, "Hey, man, like, will you speak at FBS?"
Yeah.
And so I quickly want to plug my wife because I said that to her, and she's like, "Absolutely, like you have to." And then I looked at the dates, and I said, "No, babe, I'm not gonna go." And she's like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, it's like 3 weeks after Emmy's born." And she was like, "No, like you have to go. I'll be fine for a couple of days."
Paige is awesome.
And I just like, that's when I knew. I was like, yeah, got the best wife in the world.
Yep.
So went and just crushed it there. I really felt good about the talk. Like, I felt like there was a lot of energy. We had a lot of engagement on the Q&A. I mean, we had to shut it down, and there was still a line.
Yeah, that was cool.
So,
and
yeah.
people will see this. Like, we made a behind-the-scenes vlog type of thing, so it's probably going to be more than one vlog just with the sheer amount of things that we did.
Happened.
But I think it's really cool, and it gives a lot of insight into not only the FBS weekend, but kind of like what a trip for you looks like. And it's not all just like going to different events and speaking on stage. It's a lot of like, it's a hustle, it's traveling, it's early mornings, late nights, room service.
I think a lot of people don't. I think they see the glamorous stuff of like, oh, you're on stage, oh, you're with so and so, and it's like those are amazing perks. Don't get me wrong, but it's a hustle, it's a grind. Like it's just like any other job. You have to put in the work that nobody wants to see or nobody cares about. But it's cool to have the vlog to showcase that. But we spoke Friday, Saturday we saw 1 or 2 more homes, and then we were home, man. We were on the red eye and made it home Sunday morning.
Yeah, it was an awesome trip.
So, and then we got flipped off. So that was the icing on the cake, man.
Cherry on top.
That's you know what the funny part is though. That's something we will never forget. Like we will be laughing about this 50 years from now. Like we will be 70 years old and we're gonna be like, we're that old motherfucker that needs to flip someone off at the airport.
I already said like the next NCIL one that Jason does when he's speaking at some point over the weekend. I'm gonna kind of do the old. Can we hold up? Oh, sorry, my alarm's going. That was my reminder.
Oh, that was your reminder for us to record this.
Yeah. That's how we roll. See, on top of it, we are organized. So yeah,
every now and then you're organized, not me.
amazing weekend, and obviously
it was so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing out the videos and the YouTube page. We're going to be a lot more active with it, so I'm excited about that and bringing more content to all those people that follow ALLiN³, and we've got some good feedback, so that's cool. Okay, we're going to get into a few of the things that we decided to talk about, or kind of pre-planned, didn't pre-plan, just like
I'll be super transparent. I have no idea what we're getting into right now.
Okay, this is more
serious. Teddy gave me no heads up. In fact, I looked at his journal and he said I'm not allowed to look at his journal. So just so you guys know, I have no idea what we're getting into, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's cool. It keeps it fun. 18.4.
Yeah.
Pretty gnarly workout. We both did it this morning. Went better for some than it did for others.
Wow. I mean, let's give everybody context there. It didn't go very well for me. It just was, I didn't even attempt handstand push-ups or a handstand walk. So the deads, everybody knows I have a reasonably good dead.
Pretty damn decent.
So I did the deads, and then I did hand release push-ups, and then I did more deads, and I did a bear crawl. I never thought I would.
Bear crawl?
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, I bear crawled. I never thought I would bear crawl in an open. In fact, I even joked about it in our open strategy, but I did. I bear crawled in an open, and yeah.
That's why we can't do the workout at the same time, because I needed that.
I'm so glad there's no video of me bear crawling.
So much B-roll videos going on.
I don't think anyone wants to see me with my ass in the air.
Everyone
I promise.
To see it.
Dude, that workout was, first of all, not to toot our own horn, but we nailed it with that strategy.
Yeah. You nailed it. I didn't write it. I just recorded it.
It came out, and I think the first thing, within 5 minutes, I was on Facebook, and I said something to the effect of, hello, sympathetic nervous system, welcome to the deep end.
Yeah.
And literally right before we started, our good friend Andrew Wolf sent me a text, and he said he had improved his score from Thursday night, but was completely fucked.
Yeah.
And he had finished it over 2 hours ago and was like still shaking. And that's, I mean, that's what I've heard from everybody.
Yeah.
And, I guess I was fired up when I wrote this one, because I think we were sitting at breakfast Friday morning when I wrote it.
Yeah.
And I think I even referenced a kick in the dick.
You did.
And a lot of people seem to like that part. So, it's, I have mixed emotions on this workout. I think it's a fantastic workout, but I think it's like a regional workout. I would love to see them race this in regionals with no, this gets announced at the stage. Because, it was fun to watch Panchik and BK, because BK went out really hot, and Panchik, chased him down. But I and obviously we said it from day one, you and I both predicted Fraser would destroy this, and he did. Fraser's probably the only person in the world that can go out hot and stay hot for 6 minutes to destroy this workout. But I think it would be a fun strategy workout for guys at that level. I think that CrossFit really drew a line in the sand this year, and I think they said the Open is no longer for everybody. Handstand push-ups are, 3 or 4 years old in the Open? I mean, they're still relatively new, relatively speaking. The standard changed. I think everybody is bitching about that. I didn't get to test it, so I couldn't tell you. But
I did get to test it, and it was harder.
And it was harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of people are upset with that. And so I think that not only do you have that, but then you have to go and not only did we introduce a new movement, but a new movement where you had to be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like dipping your toe in the pool. It was like you dove in head first.
Yeah, the handstand walk. And
Yeah.
what surprised me about it was the fact that he didn't just kind of like introduce it as like, oh, one of those extra exercises right at the end. It was like, we're gonna blow up your midline.
Yep.
We're gonna fuck you up with some deadlifts.
So not only are we gonna like, it would have been one thing if he opened with a handstand walk, or if he put it like in the middle where it wasn't your shoulders were blown up from handstand push-ups or your midline or from the deads. It was like you were taxed getting to that movement.
That's a regionals kind of level.
Yep.
Hey, we're going to pre-fatigue you, and then we're going to give you this skill, which was kind of weird. Like, when we were watching it...
I could have seen it, like, and I made the statement to you that I swore up and down they would never see handstand walking this year in the Open. And you said it was coming out, and fair play to you, man. Like, you called it this year. I said 1,000,000% no. I guess the way I would have envisioned it would have been very similar. So what are we, 18? It would have been 16-1, where it was the overhead walking lunges were the majority of the workout. Yeah. Now, a lot of people struggle with that movement, mobility, strength, whatever it might be. But people were able to get small chunks. Or if you have like the handstand walk be like the primary mover, people are going to start PRing their handstand walk. Well, if you look back traditionally at the Open, like the muscle ups are, the muscle ups are put in where they are so that people can PR their muscle up.
Yeah.
Right? Like you weren't super fatigued in 18.3 getting to that muscle up.
Nope.
So a lot of people got their first muscle up. I think it would have been really cool had handstand walking come out in a capacity where people could have gotten their first 5 feet. Because I know for me, I would have actually given it a legit shot.
Absolutely.
I cannot handstand walk, but if that's the way it would have been broken up, I would have spent 20 minutes working on my handstand walking. And if it didn't work, I would have gone to the next heat scaled. And I think that would have been a really cool use. I think this was very much like, hey, if you're not an athlete, fuck off. Like you're not really cared about in the Open. And a lot of people ask us business questions, and we've been very fortunate to build businesses. And I've always like kind of given my opinion on the state of CrossFit and where it's going
as a business, and
as just like an everyday training modality, but I think that CrossFit is going to alienate a lot of people after this Open. I think you're going to see a lot of members get very frustrated. And, I think it's one thing for people to chase a muscle up because the prerequisite is a pull-up. It's another thing to chase a handstand walk. A lot of people can't even fucking kip upside down onto the wall, let alone like now you want me to walk on my hands? Like, that's craziness.
Could you not argue that people will be able to do it because now they have to be able to do it? Do you not think it was just a...
How many gyms do you know where they actively are teaching it unless you're staying after or before? Like
that's
skills are...
making
I think that you'll see people shift to it, but I guess the answer is why, right? It's more like... I have a hard time seeing it as a standard.
I understand what you're saying. It's going to be very interesting to see how the community as a whole adapts to the fact that, okay, the Open's got a lot more technical. Yeah. Are people able to do it? Because, there are people of all types of abilities, different backgrounds, that, some people will struggle with it regardless of how often they practice it, how many progressions they do. It's a fucking technical move.
It is. So, I think in the grand scheme of things, CrossFit's always going to do what they want. I think it's a bad move to have 18.2, 18.3, 18.4 the way it was, right? Like the clean really differentiated a lot of people, but I kind of like the max strength move. I have zero issues with 18.2. I thought it was a phenomenally programmed workout. In fact, I went on record as saying when I sent out the 18.1, 18.2 strategy guys, I thought those were the first two workouts, like beautifully programmed. Yeah. Like it was masterful. The timing, the low central nervous system impact on the first one, the high CNS impact on the second one. We knew the third one wouldn't be terrible from the workout itself, but we knew it'd be highly skilled. I think Castro's extremely intelligent when it comes to that.
Me too. I agree.
What I don't think he anticipated in 18.3 was the mental stress that came with it. And I think that's something we did a really good job as a company of explaining to our clients because there was a lot of that. But 18.3, I think it really just rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Again, I think those are people that just need to work a little harder, right? 18.4, you got two controversial workouts and then you got a third one. Like, That's hard, man. Like I was surprised. And at the end of the day, I think we'll look back on this and be like, what the fuck were we talking about? It's not a big deal.
5
right?
years time, every single person in the gym is handstand walking as a warm up.
You're gonna see handstand walking programmed, and everybody will be able to do it. And you know, I don't think it's as functional of a movement as a muscle up. But hey, you know, that's not why I'm in this space. It's not for me to decide. But
it's an interesting one, dude. It's an interesting one, and I think only time will tell, like you said. But I do have respect for Dave Castro. I do like most of the workouts that he programs, and I think it's a hard job.
Yeah.
I think there's always going to be people that give him shit, regardless of, you know, the workouts that he puts out. There's always going to be that audience and that crowd, and I think it's a highly pressurized job because he works as a one-man team. It's not like, hey, me and a group of 8 other people program this. He takes sole responsibility and ownership for it.
And I have all the respect in the world for him. A lot of people are not a Dave Castro fan. I personally am a Dave Castro fan. I think he's actually I think the rate of growth and the rate of competition has really, really helped. Just getting the reach of CrossFit out there. But I think that now we're reaching a critical point and a tipping point. And I think that if we continue going down that route, CrossFit gym owners are going to struggle to maintain a positive business because I've been in several CrossFit gyms. I've spoken with several CrossFit gym owners. A lot of them are nutrition clients. And, you know, inevitably the conversation goes to them getting new clients, keeping clients. And they always tell me it's not the athletes that they're looking for because the athletes don't really pay the bills. A lot of the high-end athletes are going out there and they want free memberships. They're like, oh, I'm going to bring you publicity. And it's not really how it works, but that's what they think. And so it's... you know, when you have to program, like the gym we go to here in Virginia, Old Glory, they certainly don't program to make people competitive.
No.
Right? When you have to now program these things, it's very difficult because now you have all these people that go to the gym that are not competitive, but you feel like if you're not programming those things, you're never going to have anyone competitive. And it's like this, how do you walk both lines? And
it makes the coach's job a lot harder.
Yeah, like build a competitive track and this and that. And like, yeah, you can do that, but should you really have to? Like, go back to 2007. What was CrossFit about? And, like, what are they preaching about now? The whole, like, war on sugar and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's two very different messages, in my opinion. And I think it's at a point where I think you're going to see large separation. I really do. And I think, if I'm being super honest, I think you're going to see the boot camps pick up a lot of clientele.
Let me stop you right there. I've just got to press the record on the camera again.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. We just got the camera back on. Okay, you said that. We just ended there with the boot camps.
Yes.
And you said something very interesting when I was watching you record with Barbell Shrugged. And that was, I don't know whether it was actually on air, but you were saying that the boot camps are taking over in terms of taking the CrossFit crowd away.
Yep.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that, you know, originally, when you look at CrossFit, when it came out in 2007, it was a new exercise modality. And they were, you know, originally it's like intensity is the way. We need to increase your intensity. And obviously, some is good, more is not better. And that's kind of the crux of a lot of what we talk about, because I think that excessive intensity is no longer a training modality. It's more of a sport application. And I think that CrossFit gyms have really become sport application. People are really trying to figure out how can they win every single day. And if you're emptying the tank every day and you're hitting red line every day, like that's a lot of excessive stress that most people are not recovering from. And whether it's the programming or whether it's the lack of nutrition knowledge, we could debate that all day. But the truth is, when combined, which it is actively combined, and I'd say at minimum 80 to 85% of people walking through the door, it is creating some really negative results. So I think there's a trend away from extreme intensity. So I think some high intensity is acceptable. And I think the boot camp is going to fill that crowd. And I'm not talking about guys like you and I. I'm talking about like Mrs. Jones, 40-year-old, tired of feeling like shit. And you look, you know, a lot of what we talk about on the nutrition side of things is starting to become very mainstream. Adrenal fatigue is becoming talked about regularly. HPA axis dysfunction, before anybody like, you know, fucking has a conniption. But you know, those are things that are being talked about regularly. And I think people are just starting to look at, okay, well, what makes me feel good? And I don't think that destroying, leaving it all on the floor, I don't want to even say destroying your body because it's not necessarily what you're doing if you recover adequately, but leaving it all on the floor, emptying the tank day in, day out, I think that is it's not what people signed up for initially. I mean, heck, dude, I've only been doing CrossFit for 5 years now.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the classes back in 2013 are completely different than 2018. It's just different world, man. Like you saw, like one of the movements I believe that's taught in the L1 is like med ball cleans. When's the last time you saw a med ball clean programmed in a WOD?
Please, Castro.
Like in a WOD, right?
No thrusters.
Right.
Med ball
Yeah,
cleans.
med ball cleans.
He'd find a way to make them dirty.
He would, dude.
He's
They'd
a
be like
master.
150 pounds. And then like you'd have to order them from Rogue.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
shocker. We won't even go down that rabbit hole.
Okay. Well, we can talk about more stuff like this going ahead. I got a question on the ALLiN³ account today, which I kind of wanted to bring up to you on here because I thought it was a really good question.
Yeah.
And I actually responded to Mandali13. I
Awesome.
think that's you. She said, I love everything you guys do and the way you approach everyone's goals differently. I just struggle when I see a majority of regional and games athletes looking jacked and performing well, yet we say you can't have both. Is it just a genetic thing? The way they train, I just see it's possible to have both, but would love to know the variables and why it's obtainable for them. I get if it comes down to the volume of training, but I have a feeling it's more nutrition oriented, and if that's the case, then that's something we all have control over. Let's get into that a little bit.
I wish it was as simple as nutrition only. Like I really do. I think that if it was because their nutrition was superior to everybody else, then we would be able to replicate that across everybody doing CrossFit. But that's obviously not the nature. Unfortunately, and no one's gonna like this answer, but it's the truth. They're like the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
They are the genetic elite. When you go to NSCA and you become a certified personal trainer, one of the first things you hear in their like audio spiel is athletes are born, they're not made. Like there are certain people that are born with aerobic capacity, anaerobic capacity, certain amount of fast twitch muscle fibers, whatever it might be. They are born. They're maximizing their gifts. The way they look is a byproduct of their performance. I would argue with absolutely there's some exceptions. So let's say 90% of people at the games truly don't care how they look. They're not eating to look a certain way. They are eating to ensure that they're performing and recovering every single day. Now, I would argue there's probably 10% of people that are genetically talented enough to get themselves there, but they're not performing maximally. I won't say names, but there are certainly people where that is the case, and I've worked with them. So that's really what it comes down to. But let's take a step back. I think a lot of people want to compare themselves to a CrossFit Games athlete. 90% of people at the CrossFit Games don't even have day jobs.
Yeah.
Or they own a gym or somebody's running it for them. So imagine this, right? Like you've got two completely different scenarios. But imagine if you and I could wake up, right? Sleep in till 10 or 11, go roll out, do whatever it takes, cook our food, go to the gym, spend 2 hours training, go home, have a recovery shake, have some lunch, take a nap, go back to the gym, train again, go home, same, like rinse, repeat, like recovery shake, dinner, sleep
Meals
10,
already
12
sorted,
hours.
recovery on
Yeah,
point with all
everything,
these
like
devices.
body work whenever we needed it, sponsors sending shit to us. Imagine how simple that is, right? Like
Damn.
there's no stressors available.
Yeah.
Now, like my life is extreme, but I'm waking up 2-3 times a night with a newborn.
Yep.
I have 15 employees or 15 coaches. I've got like 20 employees. I have a wife and I have 3 other kids. I, have content that I have to put out to the internet. Oh, and by the way, I'm just trying to sneak to the gym. Half the time I don't even have an hour to train, but I try to build an hour out in my day.
Yeah.
Like they're completely different scenarios. So the stress adaptation principle that we reference time and time again is completely skewed. The rate, like the volume of stress is so high that the subsequent adaptation is very difficult to achieve.
Yeah.
And so if you're giving a performance stimulus, if you're beating the body down, you're doing a lot of high volume, high intensity work, what you have to prioritize via nutrition, like it's a must, is recovery to facilitate the adaptation to that stimulus. You cannot go in and try to give a recovery stimulus or an adaptation stimulus that would be fat loss, which would be a calorie deficit, because now you're just tacking on to the stressors. So I think a lot of people in Western culture want to compare themselves to the genetic elite when it's not a level playing field.
Yeah. It's not a relative.
It's not. And I remember, talking to Brent Fikowski, he's got a day job, but even he, as the game season rolls around, tapers down his work there.
And I would say even he's a very unique dude.
And he is extremely unique, extremely calculated.
Yeah.
But, Carlene owns a gym. Reagan didn't own a gym. Now she owns a gym. And I can tell you she's more stressed out now that she owns a gym.
Yeah.
Travis Mayer owns a gym. Somebody runs it for him. Noah doesn't have a job. You know, all the people that we're super close to. That's the case. And, you know, life's fucking good when that's all you got to do. But
and it has to be for them. It's not saying that, oh, those guys don't do anything else. Like, that's their job now, and like this sport.
And it is a job. I mean,
career.
the financial compensation is that of a job these days. I think that a lot of people are starting to make adequate money doing it.
Yeah.
So why not?
Well, I think that covers that pretty well, Mandely. If you have any,
Yeah,
questions.
I hope that's a good answer. And like Teddy said, I mean, if you have questions, please reach out. I love the fact that people are leaving questions for us.
Me too.
It's great.
Me too. The Instagram page is becoming a lot more interactive.
Yeah,
with
it's good to
content that
see.
we're putting out.
Shout out to Teddy for blowing up our Instagram page.
Shout out to Teddy. Great job, dude.
Yeah, just don't flip him off.
Okay, have you got anything else that you want to kind of bring up? Do you want to explain a little bit of what people can expect? This is the preview episode of the ALLiN podcast. What can people expect going forward? We've already recorded a few episodes.
Yeah.
We're really excited about it. Tell them what they can
So on the
expect.
first one that you guys won't have heard yet, but we talk about, you know, what ALLiN is. It's ALLiN in three unique things, right? And ALLiN in your physical pursuit is, you know, you're either all in on performance, aesthetics, or life.
Yep.
With the podcast, we talk about fitness, business, or nutrition. You know, three things that I feel reasonable in terms of giving advice about on the podcast where it's you and I. But there are three types of, you know, people or three like areas where I'm excited to interview individuals from. And I think it'll provide just really good value. And, you know, we recorded over the weekend with Tori Wilson.
Yeah.
And it was cool because that interview it touched on all three. You know, we started with her life and, you know, for anybody that knows who Tori Wilson is, she's super famous, former WWE diva, very well known, and she, on the surface, has it all. And so we went really deep and we learned about her life, which, you know, within that parlayed itself into fitness, and with all the shit she's had to overcome in life, it's now parlayed itself into business. And I think it was really cool how all three were interwoven, and I think a lot of people will begin to realize that fitness entrepreneurs have really mastered some of those things. So it's cool, man. Like I think that we're going to bring on different types of guests. I think that, you know, some of ours will be a client that has gone through the process. And I think that, you know, it'll be neat for other people out there listening to this to be able to connect with just other, I hate saying normal, like what a shit word, but like quote unquote regular.
Non-famous peasants.
Yeah. Well, non-famous is a good word, right? But, you know, they get to interact with, or they get to listen to and connect with people that are just everyday weekend warriors like themselves.
People that you can really relate to.
Yeah, and so I think that it'll be cool to give the spotlight there. I think we're going to bring some people on, and anyone that knows me knows I'm not afraid to go deep with individuals. So I want to become the most researched podcast host. I really want to understand an individual, and I want to go deeper than surface level shit. And where that comes from is I get on a lot of podcasts and everyone wants to ask me the same questions.
Yeah.
And I hate telling the same stories. And so I'm hoping that we'll give people an outlet to put some things out that they've never gotten to talk about, and we'll really get some amazing content. But more than anything, man, this is directed by everybody listening. So, you know, as we sign off today, it's, what do you guys want to hear? Who do you want to hear us talk to? What do you want us to hear us talk about?
What value can we bring to you?
And at the end of the day, that's what it is, right? I mean, you and I, we listen to podcasts all the time in the car or on planes or whatever it might be. And so we're excited to now pay it forward to those people.
It's pretty damn cool.
So it is.
Awesome. We'll wrap this up now. We won't kind of end it with all the normal podcast formalities. We can save that for the real thing, but we just wanted to give you guys a taste of what you can expect. We're here in the iron-free basement.
For now, dude, just think like after July, it might be the IM3 pool.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So,
Poolside podcast.
Poolside podcast.
Love it. And also, I just wanted to leave on the note that while, yes, we are going to have guests, this isn't just a podcast that kind of like goes and interviews
Correct.
everyone. You know, we're going to have sit-downs with Jason. We're going to have sit-downs with the Iron-Free team too, and we really want to mix the content up and kind of not make it that same old podcast type of thing. We really want this thing to be different, and I'm super excited that we're actually doing it. So
Yeah, it's been a long time in the works. I know we've wanted to pull the trigger on it. It's just been a lot easier with us being in the same proximity. And
yeah.
But yeah, as with everything we do, we want to put a unique spin on it. We want to take it somewhere that no one's ever really gone. And at the end of the day, it's always impact. Like, it's always impact driven. Everything we do, IN3, NCI, it's always impact driven. So we're excited to share that.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you in the real episode 1.
See you guys later.
See ya.